What's cracklin', everybody? Welcome back once again to the definitive cereal tier list. For each episode, we take a cereal, put it on the tier list, so you know how good it is. I'm your host, Tucker. In this episode, we're doing apple cinnamon Chex. We've already done quite a few Chex, so there's sort of an idea for how this is going to go. This one specifically is a rice-based Chex, which is generally getting sort of that D or C rank. Normal just rice Chex by itself was a D, but once you started adding flavors to it, such as the honey nut, the cinnamon, chocolate, vanilla, those all got C's, and I think of the flavorings, it's my favorite of the base, because corn Chex by itself was a C, but then for like peanut butter Chex, which used corn Chex as a base, got back down to a D. So I feel like that's kind of a good estimate. C range, maybe a D. But we've also done apple cinnamon Cheerios, which obviously same sort of flavor going on, and that was also a C. So it seems likely this is going to be somewhere in the middle, but maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised. But let's just try it out. See what it's like. And we got Chrissy T going here too, so that's fun. Good Twitter. Okay. Smell cinnamon. Yeah, definitely apple and cinnamon scent. I think it's a bit more green apple than red apple. Not positive on that. I guess the pictures are red apple, so maybe I'm wrong. It looks okay. Oh, but I did forget to get a spoon. Now we're ready. Got the spoon. Okay. And like most of the other, or I think all of the other flavored Chex, you got, bad example, one side that's like more of a Chex looking. Oh, I said that. Maybe I'm wrong. It looks like a lot of these are either both Chex sides or both flavored sides. I could have sworn they alternated. Maybe they changed it. All right. Wow. There's a very strong initial apple flavor there. Like, that makes sense because the scent was pretty apparent, but I expected it to be a little less distinct there. And then I did get cinnamon at the end, but I was just a little thrown off by the strength of the apple. Not bad. I don't think it's really going to be my favorite Chex just off that first bite, but not bad. I was curious as to why the apple flavor was so strong, so I took a look at the ingredients, and it has dried apples on there instead of just apple flavoring or something like that. So I'm guessing that's why. Also, though, that threw me off for a sec. I was like, there's not dried apples in here. Like, I would have noticed that. There's not, but they just used that in the mix. So that's kind of cool. That checks out for why the flavor would be so strong. All right, the milk is looking pretty cinnamony, and some of the Chex pieces that had that apple flavoring on them look to have had a bit washed off. So let's see how that's all coming together in the milk. All right, like the pieces themselves, it seems to be a very strong apple presence in this milk. It's not bad. This is kind of a weird thing to say because it's milk, but the flavor is kind of reminiscent of having like apple cider, kind of. I think part of that is just you're getting that apple cinnamon flavor in a liquid form. like a go-to for that. Oh, but again, kind of like I said for the pieces, not bad. I was correct in thinking this wouldn't be my favorite Chex, but it's still pretty decent Chex. I decently enjoyed this entire bowl, but I think the last couple bites clicked for me the most. Once I'd had the milk and realized, oh, this is kind of like an apple cider sort of flavor that they're going for, I think just having that sort of reference point worked a bit better for me, and I was able to appreciate it a little more. Again, I enjoyed the flavor the entire time, but it was just very apple heavy, which was unexpected. I thought there'd be a bit more balance between that and the cinnamon, or it'd be less like a real apple flavor and more just like apple flavoring or something. So I think just all that clicked better for me near the end. And this continues to confirm that, for me at least, rice Chex is my favorite base for doing a flavored Chex, just because it really lets the flavor shine on its own without distracting from it too much and just giving you decent piece, and you got a fair amount of crunch for most of the bowl. Obviously not as consistently crunchy as like the corn Chex, but I think, like the peanut butter Chex, the corn flavor would have been a little weird to mix with the apple flavor, so I'm glad they went with rice on this one. So what I'm going to do is give Apple Cinnamon Chex a C. Same rank as a lot of the other Chex, but I think this kind of fits into that same sort of category where you got pretty solid taste, pretty solid piece, and it just kind of works out. I don't think it's the top one in those C's, like the chocolate and the, I think, cinnamon. And maybe it's the bottom of all the C Chex, but it's still a C nonetheless. But I guess overall it's sort of a mid Chex, lower C, and not my favorite again. But I was actually kind of surprised that this had such a strong apple flavor, and while a little distracting at first, in the end it did work for me. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe. In the comments below, post your general thoughts. Let me know if you've tried Apple Cinnamon Chex and what you thought of it. This has been around for a bit, so you might have had it a bit more in the summertime, early fall, and maybe that made a bit more sense. But again, this is sort of apple cidery, so having it in November isn't that far off. But either way, if you've had it and you had either much stronger positive or negative feelings, feel free to let me know. If you disagree and you think this should have been wheat Chex for some reason, or maybe even bring back corn Chex for the base on this one, and you think, no, rice is a terrible choice, and you like that sort of contrast that the piece brings to the actual flavoring going on, feel free to share that too. But until next time, stay delicious.